Hi, this is Sarah from sarayip.com and Facebook, The Numbers Queen, with the super amazing Fiona McGary. Hello, Fiona.
Hello, good afternoon.
I am so happy to have you on this call. Thank you so much for this opportunity. So let's do a little intro for Fiona. So Fiona has had a very significant career as a professional stand-up comedian. She's actually done over 3,200 shows to over 250,000 people. Whoa. And she's the creator of the hugely successful stand-up comedy course, which I believe it ran or has run for 10 years. Monumental. Fiona now has a passion to use her experience and understanding of humour to bring about positive change in people's lives and businesses. So welcome, Fiona.
Hello.
That is quite an epic introduction, can I say?
Just when you read that, I went, no wonder I feel so tired.
Wow. Some of us have read a few books, watched a few podcasts, complained a bit about the world, and you've worked with over 250,000 people and how many students to help them, understand the power of the word and overcome their worst fears. Just putting us to shame, Fiona. Please have a lie down.
I'm using Corona for some lie down time.
Yeah, tell me that you sleep.
I sleep at night. I wish I'm not someone who can nap. I don't know why. I've got this system that's just when the sun's up, that's it. I cannot.
You're just geared for efficiency.
Yeah.
It's funny, because they say when people are laughing, they learn much faster. So perhaps you're here as some kind of teacher, and because humour gets it across, slicker, that's what you've gone for. It's like this kind of, like maximum effect in one lifetime thing. So we know from your date of birth that you've given me that you're a number 5 Lifepath, specifically a 23-5 in numerology, which comes from adding up your date of birth left to right. So in the work I do, this is about the throat chakra. So it's a whole lifetime devoted to sticking your neck out without losing your head, finding your voice, balancing, listening and speaking in that perfect ratio, getting people to see different points of view, to look around at the world, find their own truth, connect with their intuition, their inner teacher, which has a 5 energy. So it's this incredibly sensitive and magical life path, which potentially could go either way, it could go really obsessive or it could be super hippie, easygoing. So where are you with that life path now?
Am I super easygoing or am I more driven? Is that what you mean?
At the moment, yeah. Just to let you know, your screen is freezing a little bit, but maybe that's because you thought so hard that the computer picked it up.
I broke the internet with
it's
my
totally
thought.
Possible that just happened. So yeah, are you more on the easygoing side or more on the worky work side at the moment?
At the moment, I'm trying to be on the easygoing side, but I can't seem to stop that worky work. To be specific on that, I literally a couple of days ago, I went, right, that's it. I'm taking a couple of weeks off and I'm not doing anything. I'm not putting any courses online. I'm resting and repairing. And then today I was like, I could get the Grow with Humour on there like really quickly. So I'm trying to do one, but the other one keeps going, are you sure you don't want to work?
Yes, there's a bit of a committee. There's a bit of a committee with you. And maybe it's about taking turns with the different voices, keeping it really democratic. So how do you feel about your voice? How do you feel when you hear yourself these days? Because that's a lot of the journey of the 5 is, how do you feel? How do you experience yourself when you hear your voice and you actually see it has an impact in the world?
I think it depends in what regard we're talking about with that. So, that 20 years of doing stand-up, that voice, if I even watch any old footage, I'm like, ugh, I hate it. Not hate, that's a bit harsh. because it's very old me, and a lot of that
Yeah.
material is just not even an accurate representation of who I am anymore.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I feel sort of the new work that I'm stepping into is a
Yeah.
greater representation of me,
Mm-hmm.
and giving myself a lot more self-expression. Yeah.
Super interesting. And I have to say, I've watched your videos, they're still funny. Like, you know, obviously you outgrew it faster than the rest of us. And, you know, I often find with the fives, they never slow down long enough to be seen with the naked eye, unless, like, you know, there's a pandemic or there's a Mercury retrograde or something. Like, it really takes something
Yeah, right.
for them to hop up, shall we say. Yeah, so you're obviously in transition, which is very exciting. Do you remember anything happening around your life past turning point ages? The childhood one was 5 and the adult one was 23. What was that? What was that like?
5, I don't recall.
Probably started school.
Yeah, and even that's sort of a bit kind of fuzzy. Yeah, look, to be honest, I don't have a great, you know, recollection of, oh, this happened at 5. 23 was when I started traveling
Yeah.
overseas. So that was,
Mm-hmm.
I loved that, to be honest. I loved sort of being away from Australia, and I felt a lot more freedom to actually kind of express who I really was. I'm from a big family, so, you know, your voice gets a bit lost in a family of 5 kids.
Interesting. You've got that number 5 stalking you, haven't you? You've got 3,200 shows, 3 + 2 is 5, family of 5, probably all throughout your life. Yeah, you know, a lot of 5s do find a lot of joy in exploring other worlds, other personalities. They're often the very best actors, and actually some of them are the very best doctors because they can kind of morph. They can kind of feel into like different energies. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about spiritual bypassing. You've now had an opportunity to go from the world of comedy, where it's very much live or die by the sword, which is an anagram of words, to potentially the softer and yet more scary world of spiritual new age self-help stuff, right? So have you experienced any spiritual bypassing? Have you noticed any of that as you've gone into this field, you know, where people say one thing but they do another, or they kind of just wishy-wash around the bigger issues?
I feel that the online space at the moment is full of a large majority of that.
Yeah, interesting. And how does it affect you? Obviously, you're a highly sensitive person. You know, you vibe off people really, really quickly and really accurately. So how does it affect you, I guess, when you're around a lot of that spiritual whitewashing or bypassing?
I have to try quite hard not to get really frustrated, borderline angry about.
And make a smart remark.
Yeah, like I've really got to
keep your head on, right? Keep your head on this lifetime.
Zip it and just go, that's where they're at, mind your own business. It only riles me up a bit when I see it involving what I sort of look at as preying on vulnerable people.
Yeah.
And offering, you know, advice and coaching and taking on, you know, high-end clients. That's when it riles me up. If they're just on there expressing whatever, I'm like, oh, whatever. But when it's about targeting people, that's when I'm like, argh.
Yeah, the difference between gaslighting and like blowtorching.
Yeah, well, I you know, I think the energetic imprint through which we coach goes to your clients and students. So that's why I get a bit. But you know, I also can take the other side.
When you get emotional, your screen freezes.
Does it?
Which I actually kind of love. That's one of the things I love about online technology. It's so honest, and you record it, so you see all the spirit things that happen. But you're back now. You're back now. Fierce Fee made an appearance. It was this sort of like Beyonce and Sasha Fierce.
Yeah, wow.
Well, Beyonce is a 5, so you know, she's got a very passionate side.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So is Jay-Z, so they're both movers and shakers, you know, super powerful energy. When 5s get together, you know, revolution happens for sure. So how do you keep it, how do people keep it real when there's a lot of fluffy stuff or a lot of people kind of garbaging the world?
Look, I think it's pretty, I think it's pretty hard because I'm old enough. Not that age necessarily matters. Someone can be 70 and very sleepy. Is I have to remember that we all sort of start somewhere on the spiritual path,
Yeah.
When you read that first book or whatever, or however you start to get in touch with your spiritual side, and look, I've been guilty of it. We've all done that workshop or read this book, and then before you know it, you're out there being a parrot.
Proselytizing, totally. It's one of the hallmarks that it didn't quite integrate. It's like,
yeah,
it's like waiting for someone to cut you down and be like, that's not you, it doesn't fit you. But it's almost like doing it this kind of weird reversed way. Somebody let me know. Yeah,
so it's a bit of a dance, and I think there's probably something in it for me to learn of, well, you were there once, and just sort of, letting it be. There's some people I kind of meet and watch what they're doing, and you've got to not be an arrogant twat, like, oh, I'm so much more spiritual than you and I've done more work and this and that. And even saying that is kind of like, have you? Because you're being very judgmental of them now, which,
It's got to be said that if you're sexy and you know it, you don't need to wear a shirt that says sexy.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of a thing, isn't it? It's a bit of a dead giveaway, and it's just a step, and it doesn't have to occupy our consciousness unless maybe, we're still feeling a bit insecure. But it's also true that sometimes you just have to say something, because maybe you're seeing behind the mask that no one else can see the person is wearing. Sometimes just the angle at which you're sitting, you can see the latex peeling off, and I think that's when we have a responsibility to say that person has got more than one layer.
Oh yeah, and I guess, look, if you are being totally self-expressed and authentic, then you don't need to tell people that that's the case. You just are. You don't need to go, I'm being, and I go, oh, okay.
Yeah, kind of like
I feel like you're not now because you've just said that you are,
It's kind of like the duck putting on a bill, but it's got a bill, but it wants its bill to be bigger. But at the same time, I guess, sometimes we have to do those things so we realize it's not necessary, huh?
You've got to start somewhere. That's what I mean, where I've got to...
You used to say that to me with comedy, remember? You've got to start somewhere with a joke, with a set. That's probably the best advice, right?
Yep, just start.
Yeah, basically, fall over and we'll help you up and keep going. It's a very profound course. I should mention, so the way I met Fiona, I think I Googled you first. I actually looked up quite a few comedians, but I had to feel something because it's quite a vulnerable thing to, do. But the reason I was looking for stand-up comedy is, we all secretly want to be famous and liked. But apart from that, someone had suggested to me that we have an abortion because we weren't married, we didn't have a lot of money when I fell pregnant. And I was so outraged. I was like, what is the most opposite thing I could ever do to shutting up and just giving up? And I was like, I know, I could learn stand-up comedy and make a show about it. So I did. And I'll put the video link in the blog. And I learned from you, and it was so powerful, right, to be there pregnant with my little guy absorbing all that good energy you pour out in your classes, and then to announce the pregnancy on stage on YouTube and send it to 10,000 people. I was really proud of myself. And I reckon it got Forrest off to a brilliant start. He is so confident. He is just like, not aborted. Not that there's, you know what I mean? It's not like I'm judging abortion, but for me, I wanted him. I really wanted him.
It still makes me laugh. I actually share that story with people sometimes.
Oh, for real? It's a real story too.
Yeah, when they're like, like some people are like, I'm a bit scared to say this because someone might be in the audience and they might be offended. And I'm like, trust me, you can do whatever you want. Someone shared with the whole world. That's how they came out that they were pregnant.
I had someone talk to me about that today, not the comedy, but the upsetting people aspect. And yeah, I still have people who I was once super close to, and they won't talk to me, and it is a source of sadness in my life. But you know, the blessing of having the freedom to be me and the consequence that I have on people, like watching the effect when I'm around people, they just recover. Like I'll literally stand next to someone and they'll just start talking like from their heart, and that's obviously something I've worked my way into, and I've had so much help, so many great teachers, right? But just watching that ripple effect, I could never go back. And quite often I'll talk to almost like talk to myself in my head, or even talk to people who come to me who are younger, or they're worried, and I'm like, you know, you'll just never look back. You'll just never look back. And if you do, you'll just turn it into, well, what I do, which is I'll turn it into a blog. And actually that is now that's how I protect myself now. I'm like, if you've upset me, I'll blog about you. Sometimes people don't tell me things because they're actually concerned I'll write it up. So it's actually like a force field now.
Yeah, people used to do that. Well, people still do that with comedy. You know, they'll tell you something. They go, "Don't use it in your material."
Yes, I get that all the time. They're like, "Please don't."
I probably won't. I probably won't because it's not funny.
It's funny that often when they say it, you're like, I wasn't going to.
Yeah, I'm like, no.
But you know, if it makes them feel better, hey, you know,
yeah,
maybe later.
Yeah.
Oh, God bless. I actually have tears in my eyes. Must have been something we said. Thank you for that. So yeah, keeping it real, you know, using your words often and wisely, and creating that field of integrity. So now you're doing healing with humor, and obviously I remember when you first did that, I was like, what's the difference? Huh? Weren't you doing that the whole time? And you somehow explained it to me. Could you explain it to the people watching? What is the difference?
So, well, the main difference with the stand-up comedy course and the healing with humor, although sometimes I call it grow with humor because people are scared of the word healing, right?
Yeah.
Which is okay. Is the comedy course is about you using your sense of humor to instigate laughter. So you're using your sense of humor. I'm teaching you to be able to use your sense of humor and then verbally be on stage and create laughter, right? Which is still healing for the people in the audience and healing for the people taking part in the course, even though, you know, it doesn't feel like it until after it's finished, I believe. Mm-hmm. That sort of anxiety of getting up on stage is pretty terrifying. So the healing with humor is more an understanding that we do all have a sense of humor. So majority of people, not majority, but a lot of people say, I'm not funny. So therefore...
Yeah, I've heard that so many times. Like when people saw my set, they're like, I could never stand on a stage. I'm like, I can show you the staircase and hold your hand and be sure you could do that. And they're like, oh, I could never talk like that. I'm like, you're talking to me right now.
Yeah.
How do I mean, I know where that's coming from as well, but yeah, there's a real mentality.
It's a frame of reference they have.
You have to have some kind of almighty lightning bolt strike, divine tattoo, holy halo to be allowed to stand there.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can give you a pair of little fluffy wings and a magic wand if it would make you feel stronger.
Well, you know, I've done it so many times now that I think I can very safely say you could give me anyone and I could get them on stage for 5 minutes. Doesn't mean they would continue.
That's a big one. See, that's a big one. I know how you said 5 again. I'm liking all the 5s.
I've had some challenges, trust me.
Do you have any examples of someone that you just thought would never be funny and they were funny?
It's generally the people that kind of are a bit disconnected and think they're funny or try to be funny. So if someone tries to be funny, it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But hang on, I'll go back to answering that. What's the difference? So the difference is that healing with humor is what I'm teaching is that you all have a sense of humor. It doesn't mean that you have to be funny, but you can choose to see the world in a more humorous manner, which can make things a bit more lighthearted for you. Mm-hmm. Less stress, drop some anxiety, drop worries, all the rest, because if we're just viewing the world this particular way, whereas if we step into a bit more humour mindset, which I think is very healing, we expand our possibility of the way we're seeing it. And it's about teaching that I think humour comes from the heart, which is very healing, of course, if you can, drop down out of the head and go, oh, I am really taking that quite seriously. But humour's a really amazingly powerful world. People's association to it is a bit skewed. I think, I don't want to use the word wrong, but I was guilty of it for a long time. I don't think it's any coincidence that when we're born, we laugh before we talk, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what is that? How are we getting laughter? How are we connecting and communicating with the world when we haven't even spoken a word, and yet we're seeing things and laughing, right? So I kind of started doing a bit of an inquiry on that, and I went, well, that could be really healing if we can take on that and get back to that joy of being heart-centered and viewing the world as, it is, it's kind of funny. And it's about giving yourself permission, right? Mm-hmm. People like to say, oh, you can't laugh at that, or you can't laugh at this, but it's none of their business. Yeah. You can laugh at whatever you want. Mm-hmm. Your consciousness will guide you, hopefully, as to whether or not it's good humor or bad. But I think the capacity to be able to view the world through a humor mindset and a humor lens is a very therapeutic thing to do. And it doesn't mean, it's a balance, right? It doesn't mean we just walk around like giggling idiots the whole time and laughing at everything anyone says or does, but we can certainly add it to life. Like, I think to me, it really is a profoundly unutilized human capacity and human essence. Like, it's part of our essence. It's part of our joy to laugh and connect with people through that way. But we kind of have to give ourselves permission. It's almost going back to, inner child stuff. It's going back to that, kids, you look at kids, they just laugh and giggle and play, but we've lost that. And we're almost told from the second you get to school, stop mucking around, stop laughing, be serious. And so we lose it. We lose our connection to our sense of humor, which is our seventh sense, right? It's right after intuition, as far as I'm concerned. It's this amazing capacity to be like, oh, hang on, I can step back, view it through a different, and go, oh God, I got so upset about that. Probably I went a bit too far. So that, that kind of is the overall body of work.
That really does feel different, if I can add a few things. And thank you for being so open with that. In numerology, every letter has a vibration. So A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, goes up to 9 and repeats. And laugh has the 22 vibration. It's interesting because 2020 is that 22 vibration in force. And it has the same vibration as pain and gain. Sometimes the difference between pain and gain is that ability to laugh at it and to find the lesson. And it has the same vibration as Buddha. And, when we look at the Buddha, that ability to attach and detach appropriately, so not become codependent on other people, to always make you happy, literally. And I really feel when you're talking, I've written a lot about this whole coronavirus thing. It's got the same vibration as climate change and manifestation. And it's teaching us so much, because we can't get our fix from the outer world. We're really having to bring it through and resolve our inner world. And, when we can change the climate inside of us and we can make it more temperate and more fertile and cultivate that my picture behind us, that greenness of the student and the learner and the curiosity, everything around us becomes possible again. Because I worked in the environment, if I can share, I worked in the environmental movement forever.
Yeah.
Every level, Greenpeace, UN, Australian government, national parks. And I was just so fried. I was so fried by the end, because I I remember standing at the traffic light. This is when I wish I was funny, right? Standing at the traffic light and some nitwit stubs out a cigarette butt on the pavement. So I whip out one of my little cigarette butt bits and I'm like, do you want this? And they swore at me so bad. I mean, it's like I was infected after that. And I was like, I'm in the wrong job.
Yeah.
You know, I can't even get my parents to stop using plastic bags. Can't even get this one person at the traffic light to put their freaking thing in. I was like, I'm in the wrong job. You know, it's a well-paid wrong job. And that's when I started, and as well as being the tsunami, a few things like that happened. And I just realized maybe the only person I could cheer up was me. So I went from basically honestly believing I was changing and saving the world to just like, actually, I'm not even doing a good job with just this one body. So let's just scale it down a little bit, Sarah. And then I rebuilt my body, you know, by moving into this business, which is, you know, palmistry, reading the heart, numerology, you know, reading the spirit. And slowly, I've actually found I like people again. And I wonder, because I meet such lovely people in this field I'm in who are willing to pick up after themselves. And I wonder, Fiona, if you'll have something like that happen, you know, where just a different intention of your work looks similar on the outside, but a different intention, you know, rather than putting on that act, actually having the divine comedy within and actually bringing that, you know, the audience you need to please is yourself rather than the, you know, the outer crowd. It's actually a very divine inversion you're doing. And I just have no doubt it'll be very, very transformative for everyone. I mean, even just you talking about it, I'm getting a lot of like gling. So yeah, I guess did that make sense? You know, the intention of it is so different.
There, as much as the word humour's involved in both entities of the body of work, they're totally different, and it's they're really a totally different person in some regards delivering it, because as I said, that comedy course is wrapping up, and look, to be honest, I don't ever know whether there'll be another one on the outside of it.
It keeps getting resuscitated because there's so much demand because you're so good at it. And I mean, it's literally like for those of you who don't know, you should definitely look up some of the showcase, like the videos and stuff. But it's like this Cinderella thing, like you just got this kind of like dorky, and then they're on the stage like, ba-ba!
So amazing.
Everyone loves a makeover, right? It's just like
that's why it's
personality makeover. And I did it and I was like, wow, I'm pretty hot. Just in that set, you know. I was like, oh, looking pretty good, Sarah. Because I was so like, yeah, I'm owning the stage for the next like 3 minutes. Yeah. Whew.
It's kind of hard to, well, it's been hard to sort of stop, I guess, because
it's so wonderful. It's
that night of the show, you know what I mean? Like I literally see people just explode and transform in 5 minutes on stage. It's amazing. It never ever not surprises me. Like every single show, I'm just wow.
Fireworks are always beautiful, and I think the power that people get from, you know, how many lifetimes of persecution they're processing when they get up on that stage and nobody's throwing rotten apples at them, right? You know, how many soul journeys are being like completed when they stand there with a microphone. And it sounds simple, but I know I've worked with a lot of people, especially women who've lost their voice physically, spiritually, and strangulation, you know, energetically. And when they get up and realize it's not that hard to take a stand and to be heard, I do think they start doing it in other areas of their life. And I know for me, it really helped me with like money, because you do literally have to ask for it. It's not just like randomly falling in your lap like glitter or something. You know, you actually have to do stuff. You have to set up for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, there was so many areas it showed up in for me. Well, we're starting to wind up. I was going to ask you, a lot of people are at home with their kids, and you know, laughter is probably the main thing getting them through that.
Oh yeah.
How can people help their children retain their sense of divine comedy? How can they help their children to retain that glow? Because that's what you heal, right? You bring back that inner child that used to enjoy just doing things for pleasure and didn't need to do it for profit. You know, you really bring that back in people.
I think it's allowing them to continue to play. You know, we lose that, and I think most people probably lose it, you know, at school. So I think it's allowing them to play, encouraging them to play. And you can see that point in kids where they start to get awkward, you know, like socially aware of.
Yeah.
So holding that, being able to hold the space for them and not, you know, whatever dance they want to do, whatever song, whatever. And you've got to encourage their laughter, you know, and laugh with them, I think.
Rather than at them.
Kids are like watching you all the time. They're little modelers. So if they're watching you be really serious all the time, they're kind of like, oh, maybe that's what big people do. Maybe that's.
Yeah. And I think it's interesting because if you've not seen a happy grown-up or you've not seen a happy older person, there's nowhere to go, and you get stuck. You almost don't want to grow up and you don't want to become responsible. It becomes like a dirty word, you know, to be an adult. So it's so important that we have a good time, isn't it?
Yeah, I think laughing with them is probably the best answer for that, and the best advice I would give. And let them see you laughing. You know, I did a one-on-one with a lady the other day, and it was interesting. She said that that's when she felt like she lost her sense of humor, is when she had kids. And we kind of worked out that because she was trying to get that right.
Yeah.
She was trying to be the perfect parent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, well, that's, you know, you kind of, if you listen to yourself, you're clearly stating that that's not working.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that kind of wanting to be, you know, you've got to be, you know, there's got to be discipline, and they've got to teach, and you've got so many hats you've got to wear when you're a parent, right? That we forget to have our own play hat on. So when a kid's watching you be serious, and then they're also, you know, don't do that or don't do this, and there's all of the discipline guidance that goes on, and that's all they're hearing from you. You know, they'll start to model that eventually in some.
And we know that it's not an effective way of teaching. You know.
Yeah. Laugh at them more.
Yeah, well, there's
silly giggle. Be silly. Let yourself be silly with them. Always.
It's definitely a way to get things on the same level. There's that quote, I think it's John Maxwell, who said, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think that ability to just take that moment and connect with them. And even like you're talking about the playing, one of the things we try to do in our household is we let them play at different roles. So maybe I'm the bad guy, but then like one of the kids can be the bad guy, and we play at the different roles. And I feel like that's very spiritual because, you know, if you believe in past lives, which I do work with that. Yeah. Sometimes we're male or female or big or small or tall or short or different colors. And it's that reminder that it's just a choice for now. And, you know, treat people kindly because next lifetime they could be a sumo wrestler and you could be a pipsqueak. Right, you know, treat people fairly. So I guess that was coming up when you were talking. So thank you for the beautiful insights today. Well, how can people follow you and what do you have coming up?
Well, I don't have a lot coming up at the minute due to the current circumstances. I will be putting the Healing with Humour, Grow with Humour work online. I'm just trying to work out whether it'll be with me or something they can do on their own. And so, just my Fiona McGary Facebook page and my website, which is just fionamcgary.com.
Well, thank you so much.
My pleasure.
It's amazing to see you again. And
you too.
You've really helped me to command goodness into my life, and I have no doubt some people watching this video will have a really yummy shift watching it too. Thank you for that. I hope to see you again. I just thought I might pull a card to end this show.
Yeah, awesome.
So this is the card I got. This is from my friend Katie K's deck. I know it's backwards, but it says, the right time and do it now, which I think is quite funny because you talked about your affirmation, which always stuck with me, is just you've got to start somewhere, just start it now.
Yeah.
Start writing the first line of the rest of your life,
Yeah. That's good. I like that. I did my first interview yesterday, so that is part of a project called Philosophy.
Oh, cute.
Sure. Yeah.
Like
so that'll be online too, and if you follow me on Facebook, you'll see it across there, and that is just a little silly and soulful chats about change.
Thank you. As we finish up, actually, I want to mention there's this quote my friend Sean told me from the Palmistry Guild, and it was, I wish I knew the source. I'll have to look it up. Yep. God is a comedian we're too afraid to laugh at.
Voltaire.
And I've discovered that there's so many people who are afraid, like I said, they're going to get struck down if they make fun of authority, which the authorities love because it keeps us all completely uncreative, which means we're reactive, because creative and reactive is an anagram. Yeah. And it's that moment when, you step up and you dissolve that illusion that having a microphone or having a stage is somehow a power. It's just stuff. It's just props, right? It's just props.
Yes.
So I feel like
it's not a big thing.
It's pertinent, and it's time for lots more of us to get louder. So thank you, Fiona. I'm going to just wind up this recording now, and thanks everyone for watching as well.
Lovely. It was lovely talking to you. Nice to see you again, sweetheart.